Okay, we made it to the end. One more to go. Do you have an example of like a cultural norm you were made aware of that helps you better understand a student in your classroom?
Um, yeah, I had a Japanese student one time, and well, actually several times, but just one in particular. Whenever I would speak to her, her head was always down. She was always like looking at her feet. Our our most people or most students are taught to look at you when you talk to them. So if I would tell her, "Can you please look at me?" she would just keep looking down. I learned that it was a cultural thing. In Japan, looking down and not looking at your elders in their eyes, that's a form of respect. So that child was really showing respect, and and that was a good thing. So I learned that. I had another family that was their family was they were Jehovah's Witnesses, and I had a couple of them, and in each case they did not want their child to say the pledge. They did not want their child to do anything. They did not celebrate birthdays. Mm-hmm. They did not celebrate holidays. So if another child had a birthday, they weren't, and would bring something in, they were not allowed to participate.
Gotcha.
In the birthday celebration. So if they brought in cupcakes, for example, and this was back when we were allowed to do it, or now, they couldn't participate. However, later, I would ask the parent, well, would it be okay if I gave them something else that they could have during that time? And, it's not the birthday cake or the birthday cupcake, and the parent was okay with that. Whenever we did any of the holidays, I got into the habit of, if there was a worksheet I was doing or something like that, maybe it had a picture of Santa Claus on it, or a pumpkin, a jack-o'-lantern. I would send home to parents. Actually, I think she came in once a week on Friday. I would show her all the things that were for the next week and say, "Is this okay? If not, I would modify it, or I would take the pictures off of it for them." And so I give the parent the control in that one. Or if sometimes if it was a book, and the parent, I would even or which books I was reading, and if they were not comfortable with that, okay, well then I would put her at the listening center, listen to a different book on the same topic. Yeah. So that's kind of how I did that. I've also had a couple of Filipino families where the parent would come to lunch every single day and spoon feed their child.
Really?
And I did not understand that, and evidently it's part of their culture that they kind of baby the kids a little bit longer than we do. And so I would usually, when I saw that was happening repeatedly, I would usually talk with the parent and just say, well, sometimes your child needs to learn to be independent. I appreciate you wanting to do that. If all the other children are feeding themselves, I'm not telling you not to come and do that, but it would probably do them good to learn how to do that too, and then let the parent decide.
Right, right.
But yeah, it was kind of interesting a few times. But I have to be respectful if they want something different. I also learned that was just a cultural thing, that was a way of being close to their children, and they did it in families until they were a little bit older. So.
Yeah. Well, it's like you're the teacher, but then indirectly you're learning new things, about your students that's very, especially, the last story that you shared with the spoon feeding. I did not know that about Filipino culture. So, little nuggets like that along the way are, interesting, facts about culture that who knows, maybe it would have popped up in a different way, but you never know if you would have known that fact afterwards. So that's really interesting. That's really interesting.
Well, and I would try to word it differently. Like, the parent might not be in the classroom during snack time, So I would tell them that, they need to learn to do it themselves because I can't do that for all the students. So,
Right.
that I would try to put it in a way that would not offend the parents,
Right.
or make them feel bad, but just give them a suggestion and then let them choose what they're going to do.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's really, there's so much to learn. And I think that's really interesting, with Japanese culture, with, putting your head down. Otherwise, because, if you're unfamiliar, it might seem strange until you know the context and the background. And then same thing with, I'm not Jehovah's Witness, so I didn't know those practices. So there's always something to learn. And then it's interesting when those pop up in your classroom, and then it makes you more aware, oh, I didn't know that. So those are interesting experiences. Okay.
You'll experience a lot of things while you're teaching too, and
we'll see.
you'll learn.
Yeah, and then I'll share my experiences with you. I'll let you know how they went.
Right.
Well, hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate you doing this and, sharing your answers to these questions and just, sharing your wisdom with me. I genuinely feel like I've learned a lot. And you're just awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, you are very welcome, Candace. I feel like you're going to be a good teacher too. And, we need good teachers. We need teachers that care about the kids and the families. And I think you're going to be one of those.
Oh, thank you. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. All right. Well, thank you. I think did you have any last minute anything, or did you want to say anything last minute before we wrap this video up? Are you good to go?
I think I'm good to go. I'm glad that we're getting new teachers in. This, especially with this pandemic now, I think some teachers are getting tired.
Yeah.
And we need some new blood in there. It's always great to learn from younger people too.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mrs. Brooks.
You're very welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.